So the art of delegation, we talked about why people don't delegate enough. And I think we have captured all the points which are there on my slide as well. And it's really interesting to see the honesty in the comments. And very commonly heard comment or found comment is, yeah, it's just going to take longer to explain the task than completing it myself. I might as well do it. I'm not so sure if the person can do it. And also some of you said something interesting that, I don't want to dump stuff on others. They might already be very busy, and fear that if they delegate responsibility, they might not come across as competent to other people. And this is very true for the senior management players. And I just want business owners to be mindful of that. That yes, that is seen as one of the concerns, and there is also this guilt of putting things on other people's to-do list. So really, some very interesting comments there. Now, before we get into what's delegation, what's the art of delegation, when to delegate, who to delegate, how to delegate, all those bits, we need to be very clear what really is the difference between delegation and allocation. Anyone with any thoughts? Like when you see these two words, would you have an idea of what's going on here? Yeah, any thoughts? Okay, so let me just build on this. So when we talk about allocation is simply you've given a set of instructions to someone and then you want that job to be done. Okay, but you're the one who's saying, this is what I want to be done, and just make sure you get it done and come back to me and report that into me. That's pretty much allocation of task. The difference between delegation and allocation actually comes from these two elements. With true delegation comes two elements, one being the authority that the other person gets with delegation to be able to take things forward, and also a huge amount of accountability. The what do you call that? The penny or the whatever, the thing stops at them, the buck stops at them, right? That's the accountability. They are the ones who are absolutely accountable to get that job done. And that's the true delegation. So maybe make notes of these two things, because when you are allocating tasks to people, you might be thinking, yeah, I'm trying to delegate, but that's not really delegation, that's allocation. And if you're doing it consciously, it's absolutely fine, because that's what's required in that moment. But with delegation comes authority and accountability. Now, something to be very mindful of here is that there are 4 levels of autonomy and accountability, right? It's not just one simple thing. You've got the authority, go for it. There are 4 levels of autonomy or authority and accountability. Now, level 1 is where you are, it's more like allocation. So you've given this task to someone to say, okay, please do the research, come back to me with all the findings. Okay, so here the autonomy is not really high and accountability is kind of there, but it's more of an allocation of the task. As you move up, level 2 decision making is somewhat like this, that you give a certain task, to a person, and you say, fine, I want you to take it forward. I want you to make your mind as to what do you think we should be doing on this, to make a decision, but then come to me and I would be approving that decision or giving it a go ahead. Okay, so that's level 2 of where you're making the other person make a decision, but you're finally putting that stamp of approval on that and saying, yeah, let's go ahead and move forward on that with proper monitoring and reporting happening. Level 3, which is empowered authority, is where you're actually telling the other person, saying, yeah, you can go ahead, you can make the decision and take this forward, but I just want to make sure that there are clear forums and platforms where I am getting to see the progress so that I can give you the right feedback at the right time. So I want to keep my pair of eyes on that task, but I'm giving you can go ahead and make whatever decision you think is required on this. So for example, you might give that to your department head, that kind of level 3 autonomy and accountability, saying we need to hire a person in your department. I'm okay for you to take it forward, hire someone, get them on board, but I just want to be kept in the loop. Make sure you also kind of check in with me so I can give any feedback if required. That's level 3, which is empowered authority. Level 4 is like absolute autonomy, where you're like, listen, you're the project champion. You are the leader of this section or sector. You go ahead, you deliver. These are your P&L requirements. And yes, at the end of the quarter, you can come and present to the board or present to the management team as to what you've done. And I don't want to be bothered because you are very experienced. You have a proven track record and you have full autonomy of taking this forward, championing it in the true sense. And as you can imagine, there's a huge level of autonomy and accountability at level 4. So be mindful of this, because based on the task and what's required in the moment based on the person who's in front of you. You might want to be playing delegation at level 2, level 3, or level 4, but there's no one set kind of level. So just being aware of that helps you adapt your style and be more confident when you're delegating, and build that trust over a period. Okay. Now, sorry, sometimes because of multiple things, I can't see. Now, I'm also going to be very straightforward here. I can spend days with you talking about delegation techniques and who you should delegate, what, when, all that bit. But I'm also being very categorical that if your mindset is not correct, if you don't have the right way of approaching these things, then it's not going to work out. It's not the tactics which come first. It's more the strategic mindset, and then the tactics follow through. So let's have a look, and really bang on. Absolutely, what you've written is gold there. And what you can see on the slide is, again, it's in no particular order, but the first thing which I'm highlighting here is the sense of value. I think the sense of value is so important. It's like, I don't know how to explain this to you, but it's like someone really understanding what's the self-worth or the value of the resources, or the value of the time, or the value of the task, or what's the opportunity cost, the next best alternative. Just having that approach where you're looking at things and you're saying, and by the way, it's not just economic value, it's the meaningfulness is what I'm talking about. What's the meaningfulness in this task, or what's the economic value in this task? And therefore, how do I leverage the resources? How do I allocate the resources? That sense of value is really, for me, is a true sign of someone who is professional in being a business leader, who understands, what business is all about and why this level of thinking is so important. And then the other one really is the questioning. And some of you are reading this book as we speak. But if you have not heard of this book, please pick this book up, called Who Not How. And again, very simply put, the default way of asking a question for majority of the people out there is, when they come across a task, is, okay, how do I need to go about this? Okay, how do I achieve this? How do I make this happen? And they will straight away get into how. Straight away. It's just the default way of thinking, versus putting a break and saying, hold on, it's not about how. I need to ask myself a question: who can help me achieve this for myself? That's it. Who can help me achieve this for myself? And it's that sharpness of thinking and the right thinking, the right question, which can decide the direction, after that moment, saying, okay, are you going to be doing this, or someone else will get an opportunity to develop oneself and help you with that task and help you achieve that task properly. And with that comes the patience. I've heard so many times, Shweta, I'll just take half an hour, I'll get it done. If I give it to someone, explaining will take half an hour, and they'll take then 1 hour, and it's going to be painful. I get it. But you know what? You're not thinking just today. You're not just thinking of just tomorrow. You're thinking of the next year. You're thinking of the next 5 years. If this is how you continue thinking, I might as well do it. I might as well do it because I'm the best. I know it all. Then how are things going to be different? Because you become your bottleneck. There's only so much you can do in a day. So it really requires a very strategic, long-term viewpoint, saying I'm okay to be patient, because I know that right now I might have to spend more time, but the future release of time will be worth my effort right now. And that's called sense of value, the short-term value and the long-term value. The other mindset is, as I think one of you wrote there, saying being okay to fail, failure tolerance. If you're not failing enough, if your team is not failing enough, means they're not trying enough. It's very simple. It's a very simple equation. So if you don't have tolerance for failure, and I'm not saying fail all over, in all domains, but the overall mindset saying it's okay. It's like with our kids. How come we are so tolerant with our kids? When they fail, we're like, it's okay, son, it's okay, daughter, it's fine, just get up, yeah, move forward, you can do it, it's fine, what's the learning, all that stuff. We kind of boost their morale, right? It's the same for you and for your team. It's like, are you okay to be tolerant with failures? And I'm saying this again, if your team is not failing enough, and if you are not failing enough, means you're not doing enough. There's no two ways about it. That's just how it is. And then the final thing is radical candor. What I've also seen is that people try delegating, they delegate, and then things are not going the right way, and they're getting frustrated, and there's like a whole simmering feeling, like, oh God, how do I give feedback? And this is not what I wanted from this person. And there's a whole frustration and not wanting to have that confrontation or that tough conversation which is required. And then they say, what's the point? Rather than me internalizing all the stress, I might as well do it. I don't want to get into this kind of a situation. And the avoidance or the denial kicks in. And this is where someone having gumption, someone having those guts to say, you know what, I'm okay to have a radically candid conversation, which requires two things. It's not being obnoxiously aggressive or anything. It's just being honest and respectful. Being true to what you believe in and having huge amount of respect mixed in that, and then being given to the other person. Until date, I've never seen someone reacting badly to someone who's being radically candid, because they know that there is care sitting. And this person needs to be honest with me with a lot of respect. But it's not easy. And if you can't have these elements with you, or you can't consciously build on them, then delegation is going to be a lifelong problem, because somewhere or the other, you'll be like, I might as well do it. What's the point? Okay. And people who talked about that will feel guilty of dumping it on someone else. Remember, what's easy for you or what's non-essential for you could be a great learning opportunity for someone else. So always remember that someone's poison is someone else's food. I mean, it's a great saying there. So you have to be mindful that you're actually developing, you're not dumping, you're not being selfish, but you're saying, okay, how can I help this person become better while I'm focusing on different value item, which takes the business forward or takes you forward as a person. So really important. And I want you to take maybe 5 seconds just to reflect, saying which mindset I need to become aware of. Where am I? Yeah, I need to do better. Identify that for yourself right now. Seriously, make a mental note or write it down, saying,